This is a woman who took an at-home DNA test for fun and found out her twins had two different fathers. In May of 2026, two British women named Michele and Lavinia Osbourne, 49-year-old fraternal twins from Nottingham, went public on BBC Radio 4 with a discovery that stunned British medicine. They'd spent their whole lives assuming they shared a father. A routine DNA test proved otherwise. Their case isn't unique and it isn't new. The condition is called Heteropaternal superfecundation, and it happens when two eggs released in the same menstrual cycle are each fertilized by sperm from a different man. It sounds like a plot device, but it's actually a documented, if extremely rare, biological event. One that has shown up in courtrooms, paternity labs, and forensic case files on 4 continents. Every fraternal twin pregnancy starts the same way. A woman releases more than one egg in a single cycle, something that happens naturally in roughly 1 out of every 80 pregnancies. Ordinarily, both eggs get fertilized by sperm from the same man on the same occasion, and the result is 2 siblings who happen to share a womb. Heteropaternal superfecundation only requires 1 more variable. Sperm survives inside the reproductive tract for up to 5 days, and if a second egg is fertilized by a different man within that window, the twins that result are related. That way halfway siblings are, sharing roughly 25% of their DNA instead of the 50% typical of full siblings. The condition is hard to detect because almost nobody thinks to test dizygotic twins separately. It only usually surfaces in paternity disputes, and even then only when both twins are tested individually rather than as a pair. In 2015, a New Jersey court ruled that a man was legally obligated to pay child support for only one of a set of twins after DNA results showed he was the biological father of just one child. In 2016, a paternity case in Vietnam made international headlines when a father discovered through the same kind of individual testing that his wife's twins had different fathers, a story picked up by the BBC. Forensic geneticists in Colombia, Denmark, and the Dominican Republic have all published case reports built on the same finding, and the researchers estimate the phenomenon appears in as many as 2.4% of dizygotic twin pairs, whose parents ended up in a paternity dispute. As of 2020, only 19 cases have been formally confirmed and published worldwide, and most researchers agree that the number is almost certainly an undercount. The condition isn't confined to headline-grabbing paternity disputes. In 1982, doctors documented a set of twins born with visibly different skin colors, a case that only made sense once genetic testing years later confirmed 2 different fathers. In 2008, a paternity test performed live on The Maury Show became one of the more public confirmations of the condition, broadcast to an audience that had no idea they were watching a genuinely rare medical event unfold on daytime television. In 2019, a case in China involved a woman whose twins were fathered by her husband and by a man she was having an affair with during the same window, a detail uncovered only because the husband, suspicious, requested the test himself. Outside of humans, the condition is almost unremarkable. Cats, dogs, and cattle ovulate more frequently than humans do, and often mate with multiple partners in a short span. So heteropaternal litters are common enough that veterinarians rarely think twice about them. A stray dog can give birth to a litter in which every single puppy has a different father. Humans are simply less likely to encounter the exact conditions required: multiple ovulation, a short window, multiple partners, and even less likely to ever find out when those conditions happen to align. For decades, the standard practice in a paternity dispute involving twins was to test one twin and treat the result as applying to both. Heteropaternal superfecundation makes that practice a legal liability. A 2025 case report from the Dominican Republic built on a review of 61 dizygotic twin pairs undergoing kinship analysis identified 2 confirmed cases of heteropaternal superfecundation that would have gone entirely undetected under a single twin testing protocol. And it's funny because this reminds me of when my sister got her finger pricked when we were super young to see her blood type, and I ended up not having to get mine because we just assumed that we are probably the same blood type. But researchers at the Universidad Nacional de Colombia, I hope I said that correctly, ran into the same problem in 2018 when a paternity case involving male twins showed a probability of paternity above 99.9% for one twin, while the alleged father was excluded on 14 of 17 Y chromosome markers for the other. Geneticists in Denmark reported an almost identical split in a separate case, where one twin matched one alleged father with near total certainty, while the second twin was excluded from the same man entirely and matched a different one instead. The legal implications extend past a single support payment. Child custody arrangements, inheritance claims, and even immigration cases involving family reunification can all hinge on a presumption of shared paternity between twins, a presumption that heteropaternal superfecundation quietly invalidates. Forensic geneticists now argue that any paternity dispute involving digyzotic twins should require independent testing of both children, not as a formality, but as a safeguard against exactly this scenario. It's a small procedural change with an outsized consequence. It's the only thing standing between a correct legal outcome and a courtroom acting on an assumption that turns out to be wrong roughly 2.4% of the time. Michele and Lavinia Osbourne, from the beginning of the story, didn't go looking for any of this. They ordered a test the way millions of people do every year, expecting nothing more than a percentage breakdown and a map of ancestry going back a few centuries. What they got instead was a fact that outdated every assumption they'd carried about their own family for 49 years. That is so long, that would be crazy to find out that late in life. Their story ran on the BBC, and within days it had been picked up by outlets that mostly got the biology wrong, treating a documented reproductive event like a medical anomaly bordering on impossible. It isn't impossible, it's just rare enough and quiet enough that it only surfaces when someone happens to ask the right question with the right test. 19 confirmed cases by 2020, a staggering more since, and almost certainly a far larger number of people walking around with the same genetic fact sitting undiscovered in their own family tree. The Osbourne twins found out because a test they bought for fun happened to ask a more specific question than the one that they thought they were asking. But most people never do. So if you were a twin in this scenario, would you rather go on living not knowing that you and your twin sister, brother, whatever, don't share the same father, or would you rather know as soon as possible? I would love to know your guys' answers, and also I love making these videos, so subscribe and I will see you in the next one.